and they're completely destitute. Well, you know what he says is going to happen? Everybody will be paid a certain amount through their Social Security account. By the way, Social Security is not an entitlement. I just read today some couple of politicians writing an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal. They put Social Security as it's not an entitlement program. I paid my money into that. It's not a free gift from the government. Now, what are these dimwits talking about? I mean, Medicare, Medi-Cal, disability, all those are entitlements. But not Social Security. Anyway, so everybody will be given a certain, shall we say, stipend through their Social Security number. You know, some kind of a debit card or something. So they will be able to. But that's dictatorial, right? I mean, it's totally totalitarian. So who are these guys? I mean, Bixby calls them good guys. He does. Now maybe they are, but I don't see it in the entire history of humanity. I don't believe I've ever seen a benefactor dictator. I don't think I've seen that. So I'm somewhat skeptical of this whole thing, you know, to say the least, if it's true. But, you know, it's like this dark agenda, white knight battle. I first heard about this a long time ago, back in 95 or so, in a different context, which I will not go into. But I first heard it. At that time it was called the White Knights Against the Dark Agenda. So that's 93, 95, somewhere around there, a long time. And it's cropped up here and there over the years. And, of course, but there's truly, the system is collapsing. There's no doubt about that. I mean, I just gave you some indication of that, you know, with all these retail stores shutting down and a few others like, you know, all-time high number of people on food stamps, and the unemployment rate is near 25%, not the data given to us by the Bureau of Lying Statistics, otherwise known as the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Well, you know, they just doctor everything to make it look good. It's like the government can't handle the truth. You can't. I don't like these numbers. Hey, change them. No, Johnson said that. President Johnson. So, and the signs of the kind of total everything is broken theme are everywhere. You know, we have a failed medical system, a complete and utter catastrophe of the greatest magnitude. I mean, just take one instance, cancer. There was, 74, President Nixon signed the National Cancer Act into law to basically eradicate cancer off the face of the earth. And you know what's happened? Okay, 1974. I think that's when it took place. When he signed that. Millions upon millions of men and women worldwide have spent hundreds of millions of work hours and countless billions of dollars researching cancer, and what's happened? Nothing. Total failure. And necessarily so. Can't help but be so. Because the fact of the matter is the medical system is completely up the creek without a paddle. I have no idea. I mean, if you look through all the annals of medical science, all the journals, all the textbooks, all the masters and PhDs, theses, and this and that, the human being is nowhere to be found. It's not there. So necessarily it's just an exercise in total futility as far as actually getting rid of cancer. You know, and then I read the other day, to invest in some company that's the Pentagon is going to hire to cure the flu. I mean, what are they talking about? There's no cure for the flu. I mean, the flu is a really important part of the healing process. that people don't understand. You have to read The End of Medicine to get that idea into your head. That's my book. So, what is this the symptom of? Other than the fact that the Dark Brotherhoods have engineered this whole thing over the course of the last 400 years or so. Okay, and the reasons why and wherefore why I'm not going to go into right now. I'm just talking about what's happening right now is simply the means to an end, which is, and the end I will not talk about. I'm saving that for later. But the means is to get everybody on this planet into a state of economic slavery. That is the purpose. That's why all this is going on. That's why it's happening. Now, the fundamental reason for all this, other than the strategy of the Dark Brotherhoods, is the fact that the nation state is over with. It's an atavistic relic of a long since forgotten time, at least 100 years. First World War was a symptom of the nation state collapsing. Now, Rudolf Steiner talks about this at great length in some of his lectures. And I've given you the titles of those, and I'm going to be going into more detail as ensuing episodes of the Mobuku Chronicles transpire over the course of the next few months, before we get to the secret brotherhoods. But he said over 100 years ago, well, around 100 years ago, a little less, that if this, that is the threefold commonwealth, is not implemented, the day will come when politics will destroy the economy. Well, that has happened. So, now the reason why all this is necessarily the case, that means all these symptoms, is because the threefold commonwealth has not been implemented. So we have a nation state whereby everything in modern society is subsumed to the, shall we say, the quote-unquote necessities of the economy. That is, governments all over the world are simply henchmen for the bankers, who is to control everything, or rather they are the, shall we say, the front through which the Dark Brotherhoods wish to control everything. Now, so at this point, I have come to the end of this episode. I've pretty much said everything I wanted to say tonight. And I do, if this is your first time, I do urge you to go back and go through all the episodes, step by step. I mean, this is episode 19, and there's probably, 70 or so different segments. Because I break them, I can only put 15 minutes up at a time, besides which that's only what I want to put up at any. Because 15 minutes is enough time for you to look at something, and then, you can put it down and come back to the next segment later, if it's interesting enough to you. So they're 15 minutes, and some of them are four parts, some of them are 3. Most of them are either 4 or 3 parts long. So, and this one's running, well, I'll probably cut it down to 45 so I can get into 3 15-minute segments, in terms of editing it. So, that's what I have to say tonight at this particular juncture. And by the way, this is the year of the Black Snake. Chinese New Year just was came into being in February the 4th and was celebrated February the 10th. So I wish you a very happy, prosperous Chinese New Year. And on that note, I wish you good night and thank you very much.